we will start our session from the robotic joint, but in the last session we have left something that I want to I want to conclude that in resolution we have discussed the programming resolution and control resolution, right? In programming resolution, let yes, we have seen the resolution of programming resolution to the robot or control resolution, in which programming resolution we have to know we have known that basic resolution unit has been used, that is smallest allowable position increment in robot program, that is 0.01 inch per point degree. And in control resolution we have seen the smallest change in position that the feedback device can measure and can compare to continuously changes the controlled input so that we can get the desired output. So it is this resolution is about 0.36 degree per pulse. And if we talk about the accuracy, it is the precision with which a computed point can be reached. And repeatability is, it is the defined as the precision with which a robot reposition itself to a previous taught point. Means what we have taught our robot that has to be reposition itself, that is our repeatability. And accuracy, the point we have predefined, and the robot has to compute that point and has to reach at that point. So this is our accuracy. So these are resolution, accuracy, and repeatability of robot. And if we talk about the robot, there are some specification by which we can identify the robot. That is control type, drive means control type, which type of control we are using, drive system, the power supply we are using, coordinate system, the coordinates we have given, and which format it will use, the point to point or the teaching or method. Hello. Yes. The teaching or programming method. Teaching means how we are teaching to do accomplish a particular task, and the programming methods we are using to give the instructions to the robot. Accuracy, repeatability, resolution, we are giving the predefined terms in robots so that it can accurately repeat the position which we have defined for it to complete the task. Payload capacity means how much load it can carry, weight of the manipulator, because if it carries the load, its weight of the manipulator also includes, so it will reflect in the speed. So application, what are the application, for what application we can use the robot, range and speed of arm and wrist, what are the ranges, what are the speeds, if we talk about the speedy operation, sensors used in the robot, what are the sensors, is it the proximity sensor or is it the camera sensor, what are the sensors we have used and what are we required to accomplish our task. And gripper is nothing but robotic arms tool, and effector is basically nothing but that is connected at the wrist, or end effector can be gripper or can be tool. If we talk about the analysis of economical analysis, we can analyze the payback period of any robot if we want to invest in it. Let's say the F will be the capital investment that we want to purchase a robot, which includes its purchasing cost and installation cost. So F will be the capital we have to use purchase the purchase of the robot, and be the saving in terms of material and labor cost, means after applying the robot.
Sir, excuse me, I have a doubt regarding this information, sir.
Yes ma'am, yes ma'am.
Yes. Now, how far this information will be useful for the CBSE students, sir? As an extra knowledge, or in any ways it is going to help the child?
Ma'am, it will help the child as if we want to make a robot for like a crane system or to pick and place system, then it will require to know the gripper, how many types of grippers and how can we use the gripper and which type of gripper, which type of tool or gripper we are, which type of end effector we are using. So
Okay.
for that, it needs to know all the basics about the
You
robots.
mean to say at school level only the child should be aware of all this?
No, ma'am. These awareness is for the teachers so that they can give all the answers which
What
students
the
can
child
make.
has. Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
fine. Okay,
Because
thank you.
if we want to give lecture on that, we have to so that we
Yeah.
can all the answers to the students as stops at one.
Yeah, that is true. But no, grasping even at the teacher level also, the grasping of these all concepts is little bit tough only, sir. I
Ma'am,
feel.
these are basically the basic things we are trying to deliver so that there will be no single query left after the FTP.
Yeah. Now,
Yeah.
are you going to test on these concepts as well?
Uh, Yes, ma'am.
The
Can you repeat?
testing process will be done in this content also?
Testing purpose means, ma'am.
Like
Can
for
you?
us only. See, now in this workshop, at the end of the topic, you're going to test us, right?
Uh, Test? Yes, sir, yes, yes, ma'am. On the
That's what.
basics,
Huh.
on the basics only.
Uh, that is
Yeah.
what. Just a small
Yes, like
clarification, sir.
FTP is a
Thank you.
5-day
Yeah,
FTP, and
Monica,
we will test on the basic topics only.
Okay,
Monica,
fine.
I just want to inquire
Fine.
one thing. Can we share the PDF because for the senior students, can we share the PDF what is sent to us yesterday with our children?
Yes, ma'am. You can share with your students.
Because at least they ask something, so we have something ready with us, no? So we share the slides or the PDF which you have sent. We can. That's what you're saying.
Yes, ma'am. You can share the PDF which we have given yesterday.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
So,
Then only we can develop the interest in them, no? Like you have the
yes, ma'am.
screenshot. Thank you.
Yes. Okay, ma'am.
Sir, can you move that small window to right side? It is coming in the way of the slides.
What, sir?
Can you move that small window which says the title, etc., to side? It is coming in front of the slides. Yeah. Towards the side, sir. Towards the side. Okay. Fine, sir.
Okay, sir. Is there any doubts? Any other doubts?
Thank you.
Okay, let's continue. And this is the end effector we can use for the spray paint attachment. The end effector can be changed with the spray paint attachment, welding attachment, vacuum head, hand, or it can be the gripper. So these are the different application if we are employing any robots so that it can do different works, different functions, space for the specific purpose. And what are the requirements for an effective grippers? The part or item must be grasped and held without damage. We have said in previous lecture, the gripper must be used in such a manner that the material or the part which we have to pick will be oriented well and will be grasped well so that it will not drop it. Otherwise, there will be damage in our parts. So parts must be positioned firmly and rigidly while being operated on. Hands or gripper must accommodate parts of different sizes. Means if we are using the gripper of 2 fingers, then the complex size of material it cannot pick. It will be difficult for that. So we have to employ the gripper according to the different sizes and according to the varying sizes. If we are using for the material that is not uniform in sizes or all the parts are not uniform, so we have to use according to that. And the self-aligning joint that are required to ensure that the load stays centered in the job so that it will be lifted correctly, firmly, so that there will be no damage to the product. the gripper or end effector must not damage the part being handled. Means when the part being handled, that gripper must not damage the part which we are required to pick and place at another position, or to not to damage at the time of packaging, for so that our the output will be the efficient. And the jaw or gripper must make contact with minimum 2 points. Minimum 2 points means if we want to pick any material, or if to want to grab any material, we have to make minimum 2 contacts. Minimum means the at least, and we can increase that points for the better stability, to ensure that part does not rotate while being positioned. So this is about the previous day. So we will continue with the next day. Is there any doubts with the first day session?
So what is a vacuum head, sir? What is a vacuum head?
Yes, sir.
What is a vacuum head, sir? You showed what is a
Yes,
vacuum.
sir. Vacuum gripper is nothing but a end effector that grabs the material by vacuumizing between the material and the end effector.
Okay.
Sir, it is a suction cup, which is
Yes,
used for
suction cup.
lifting glass sheets, etc.
Okay. Okay. So instead of grabbing it, it just
Yes, we can use the different types of grasping technique.
so like a vacuum cleaner, right? So like a vacuum cleaner, it picks up
Like
the.
vacuum cleaner grabs the dust from the surface. Require the more. Is there any doubts? Is the doubt cleared? Hello. Is there any doubts?
Yes, sir.
Shall we continue?
Yes.
Yes. The robotic joints. Robotic joints, we have gone through the introduction yesterday, that the joints is nothing but to provide the freedom, to provide the additional flexibility in a robotic arm. So we will get the introduction. The manipulator of an industrial robot consists of a series of joints and links. Series of joints and links. Joints are the shoulder and the elbow. Links are the upper arm, lower arm, and chest. These are the links. Links nothing but that is connected by two links are required to connecting a joint. So a single joint connects two different links and provide a degree of freedom, provide a minimum degree of freedom. Robot anatomy deals with the study of different joints and links and other aspects of manipulators' physical construction. So robot anatomy basically nothing but that deals with the study of different joints that provide different kind of degree of freedom, that provides different kind of movement, and links are nothing but the rigid body that require by that makes them rotational or linear movement by using that joint. So each joint is connected to two links. One is input link and another one is output link. Like for elbow, we have two links. One is lower arm, other is other is upper arm. So upper arm will be the input link for the elbow, and output link will be the lower arm for the elbow. Likewise, for the shoulder, we have chest and upper arm. Upper arm will be the output link for the joint, and chest will be the input link for the joint. So this is the relation between the link and joint, and how the each joint is connected to two links. Basically, joint provides the controlled relative movement between the input and output. Means what it means, that joint is responsible for the movement between the input and output link. Like the elbow, it provides the controlled input between the upper arm and lower arm, that is elbow. That means that joint provides the controlled relative movement between input and output link. So therefore, the robot's complexity can be classified according to total number of degree of freedom they possess. Means we can say The robot's complexity we can classify according to the joints only, and that joints will define the number of degree of freedom. So that degree of freedom classify the robot's complexity. A robotic link is the rigid component of robot manipulator. So the link is the rigid component of robot manipulator that does not change. That moves with the help of joints only. That's why we say the rigid component. Is there any doubts in the introduction part?
No, sir.
Is there any? Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, any doubts?
No, sir. Continue.
Yeah. Okay. Sir. We are good. So for the if we say the base is connected to a permanent, connected as a permanent on ground, a joint maybe like image. बोलिए.
I can't see, your camera is off.
Wait, ma'am.
I can't see the PPT also.
It's visible, sir.
Visible?
PPT is very clear. It
Please
is very
check,
clear, sir.
Now I can see.
We check
No problem.
Previously it was visible, but now it's working.
Sir, continue.
Yeah.
Sir, visible.
Some connectivity issue maybe, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
From
Now
there,
We are able to
for all-
Thank you, sir.
see,
Thank you,
sir.
Now I.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah, it's going good.
Okay. So according to this image, if we talk about the joint number 1 is our shoulder and joint number 2 is our elbow. So these are two joints which are basically connected to the 3 links. The link number 1, like according to the image, link number 0 is our chest, link number 1 is upper arm, link number 2 is lower arm, and the wrist is our end of the arm. So wrist is not concluded in the image. So if we talk about the links for joint number 1, link 0 is the input link, while the link number 1 is the output link. And at the same time, for joint 2, link 1 will be the input and link 2 will be the output link. So this is the joint link numbering scheme we can identify by this. So the joint number 1 will be the shoulder and joint number 2 will be the elbow, that provide additional degree of freedom. And if we talk about the different joints, there are basically 2 different types of joints. One is prismatic and another one is revolute. Prismatic is kind of linear joint which have sliding or linear, that is translational motion along an axis. The upper one is prismatic joint, in which we can say the movement is along the axis, while in the revolute the movement is around the axis. So the revolute which exhibit the rotary motion about an axis. The links are aligned perpendicular to one another at this kind of joint. So in revolute, the links are aligned in perpendicular manner and rotates around about an axis. So the rotation involves revolution of one link about another. Means one link will be the at fixed position, and the another link will move around that around the previous the past link. And in the prismatic, there will be the linear movement along the axis of a link number 0. So these are the input link. This is the blue color is output link. So if we talk about blue color link, that is link number 1, and the orange link will be the link number 0. So link number 1 moves along the axis of link number 0. But in revolute, link number 0 is at fixed position and link number 1 will revolve, or we can say the rotates around the axis of link number 0. So this is our prismatic and revolute joints. These are further classified into other joints. There are basically total 5 number of joints, in which 2 are prismatic and other 3 are revolute joint. based on the physical configuration or the combination of revolute or prismatic joint for three major axes, that is x, y or z, or we can say the two linear and one rotary axis, a particular geometry of work envelope is achieved. We have seen the Cartesian, cylindrical, spherical robots previous time, so we will discuss the according to the prismatic and revolute joint. So the table shows some of the most common robot work envelope based on the major axis. Like in Cartesian, we have all the three axes, that is x, y and z, and all have linear motion. So we can say that the prismatic motion. So x-axis, any axis 1, that means axis 1 is also prismatic, axis 2 is also prismatic, axis 3 is also prismatic. That means P, P, P in all the three axes. And the revolute means that rotates around an axis, that is 0 in linear movement. So in cylindrical we have two linear and one rotation. So that R is rotation, P is prismatic, that means linear, another P is prismatic, that is linear. So two linear and one rotation. So there will be one revolute. And spherical, we know one linear is there and two rotation is there. So one prismatic and two revolute. So there is total number of two revolute in spherical. Likewise in Skara also is a spherical robot, similar to spherical robots. So there will be two rotational and one prismatic, that is linear. So that's why two revolute. We will see the Skara and articulate robot in today's session, in the further coming session. And the articulated uses all the revolute axis. All the axes are revolute, so there will be total 3 number of revolutes. Is there any doubt in prismatic or revolute if we classify it on the basis of joints, on the basis of movement?
Sir, I have a doubt.
Yes, ma'am.
Sir, I have a doubt.
Yes.
Sir, in the spherical, two R are there. Two types of revolution are there. These revolution can be clockwise and anti-clockwise.
That yes, ma'am. That can be around left or right, or can be up and down. These are the rotation.
The rotation will be full taking the full circle, so in a circular manner, or rotation.
It depends on the architecture.
It can be half rotation or it can be full rotation.
Yes, ma'am. It can be half, it can be full. It depends on the architecture.
Okay.
It depends on the. Yes, ma'am.
And in the articulated, all are revolutionary joints. That means in 3 axis is there.
Yes, ma'am. Only the rotation movement is there.
Just like just a simple example, just cement mixing machine. In everywhere
Yes,
it is rotating.
Like we have seen the Puma robot yesterday, that is articulated, in which it only revolute all the axes. Likewise, means up and down, up and down, and up and down. So all the 3 axes, if we talk about the 3 axis articulated robot, it will be all the revolutes.
This type of articulated joint, articulated joints are used in mixing something, or
No, ma'am. It is used in the automation, and it basically positioned on ceiling or wall, so that it will not leave any mark on the surface. So it can it is the its advantage that it leaves no mark on the surface. That means it can use all the surface space.
that means it cannot touch the surface. But at the 360-degree rotation, it can cover the 360-degree.
Ma'am, it will not set the 360-degree.
Because all the joints are rotationary joint, that means it is covering all the directions.
Yes, ma'am. If we talk about the sphere, that articulated cannot make the sphere, but it can make hemisphere. It can make hemisphere, means if it mounted on ceiling, it can rotate for the accomplishing all the tasks that is required to be done.
Then if sir it is accomplishing, it means if it is covering all the 3 axes, that means it is a full rotation, it is covering a full sphere.
It is not said that it is covering this. It uses the theory of rotation. If we talk about the Cartesian, that doesn't mean it covering all the x-axis from 0 to infinity. That means it will cover some points in the x-axis, likewise in the y-axis, and likewise in the z-axis. So we can't say it will be using all the value of the axis. Like in sphere we have r, phi, and theta. So it will not be, yes ma'am.
Covering all the axes means it can't be compared as a fan, as if fan is covering if the fan is mounted on a ceiling, it's covering all the direction, means like that movement is not there in articulated.
If we talk about the rotation of fan, it will be covering, but it will not cover in all the axes. Like for the if we talk about the sphere, there are 3 parameters r, phi, and theta. So it will use the r, means it will take some radius, and it will use a phi in circular part, but it will not use the theta in 360 degree. It may be use the phi in 360 degree, but it will restrict it to its architecture.
Okay, if I have got in a simple manner, I have only got this point that it is not necessary that it is covering the full circle.
Yes,
but as it articulated, as it is covering all the axes, it can be up and down, right and left, or it can be the diagonal.
If we're talking about the axis, it means if we're talking about all the 3 axes, that means it can roll left and right, up and down.
Okay.
Yes.
But it's not in a circular direction, because circular movement is not there, the axis part, na x, y, z axis. So for the robot, we talk about the axis. Am I right, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, and one second, I'll correct Shilpi ma'am that the fan also has one pivoted z axis. It's pivoted along one axis, and there that axis is pivoted. Along that on a plane, it moves circular. This thing, it doesn't have the third axis also moving. Z axis, that pivot is always fixed in a fan. Then.
Yes.
Is there any other doubts?
Yeah, what is the difference between spherical and SCARA? As per table.
Yes, sir. Spherical has vast work envelope, while SCARA has low work envelope. Means that work area is low in comparison of spherical and SCARA.
Spherical. Okay.
But SCARA has high speed. Its speed is high as compared to the spherical, as the work envelope is low.
Yes, sir.
It works in very small to small area, while spherical works in medium to large area.
Yes, sir. Can a joint be both prismatic and revolute? Is it possible? Yeah, can one joint be both prismatic and revolute?
No, sir. One joint cannot give the prismatic and revolute both the axis, as the prismatic is the linear. Like we are using the around the axis and along the axis, means we need the along the axis and around the axis. We have the movement. We need the movement around the along the axis and around the axis. That cannot be done by using a single joint. Okay. That's why the joint is divided in 2 parts, prismatic and revolute.
Okay. Thank you.
So what type of material is used for making these joints?
Ma'am, the material can be used, that depends on the purpose, that depends upon the load capacity. We can use the material like aluminium, or we can use like our joints are using the calcium carbonate. So that joints can be made by any metal, but depends on the strength, or depends on the strength required, depend on the purpose. Is it clear, ma'am?
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Hello, sir. Yes, sir. I have one question. See, this articulated robot we can attach with another robot, because as it is the three side, means the three part is the same type that revolute. So I can say this is not the base of any robot, because it is not fixing any axis. That means no prismatics is there. So I can say that articulate, I can attach this robot part to any one of them. Spherical,
Yes, basically
cylindrical,
these robots are the result of different combination we have attached of joints. So we can extend this, like we have these are three axes. We can extend the fourth prismatic axis so that it can get the extension. So we have to add the joints. We cannot join the robots with each other. Add their capability is different with the others.
Okay. Okay, sir.
Is there any other?
No, sir.
It's the different types of robotic joints. The robotic joints is the important element in a robot which helps the link to travel in different kind of movement. That means the joint is having the important role in providing the different kind of movements. So a joint is in an industrial robot is similar to that in human body. So joint in industrial robot is similar in like in a human body, like we have in shoulder, elbow, wrist. So these are the different joints in human body. Just like that, we have joints in industrial robots, so that we can have the different kind of movements. So it provides a relative motion between two parts, or we can say two links. These includes two types of linear motion and three types of rotary motion. So we have total five type of robotic joints, in which two are linear or prismatic and other two are rotary. So the linear joint and orthogonal joint are the prismatic joint, while the rotational, twisting and revolving joint are rotary joint. And if we talk about the linear joint, as we know, the linear joint is indicated is just a joint that provides. Yes, ma'am.
Sir, just now we have learned about the types of joint, prismatic and revolute, and now we are learning about these 5 types of joint. So
the prismatic and revolute joint further divided, in which the prismatic was linear and orthogonal, and the revolute will be the rotational, twisting and revolving. The upper two are prismatic, the lower three are revolute joint. Means we have the different kind of revolution in revolute joint, in different kind of movement in revolute joint.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
These are nothing but a different representation of same movement. First is linear joint, that can be indicated by L joint, means symbol L joint. This type of joint can perform both translational and sliding movement. Translation means like we are using the rectangular shape and we are fitting one link in another, and it will move along the axis. So it will called as linear joint. Or if it is a circular part we are using, then it will call as sliding movement. So these motions will be attained by several ways, such as telescoping mechanism and piston. Like we have seen the telescope, which we reduce the size in linear motion and can increase the size by moving the other parts to one another. So they are connected with the joints that provide the linear that provide the linear movement. So the two links should be in parallel for achieving the linear movement. So these two links are parallel, they are connecting linearly, so they have connected so that they will get the linear movement. So this is the linear movement in which they are connected parallelly. So the one will be the output which will be connected after, and and the input will be that which is connected first. So the input and output are moving. Basically the output is moving. So this is the linear joint. Another one is orthogonal joint. Orthogonal is basically nothing but the output joint will be the perpendicular joint. So orthogonal joint will be, yes ma'am.
The transitional and one more joint was there. Transitional.
Yes ma'am. Yes ma'am. Translation means we have the rectangular part connected to each other and they are moving linearly. So they will called as translational. If we are using the circular part, then it will be slide. So it will be called as sliding movement or sliding part. So circular part will be called the sliding movement if there will be some movement, and the rectangular part means that is not circular, that will be called as translational movement.
That means both are sliding on each other, but one is the rectangular one and the second one
according
is
to shape we are determining the with another term.
The function is sliding only, but the shapes are different.
Yes ma'am. Function will be the linear movement. Next is orthogonal. That is means the input and output are connecting perpendicular to each other. Like we have one link, we have another link. Now it is moving linearly. So it will be called as orthogonal joint, in which input is perpendicular to the output joint. So output joint will move in linear motion. So it will be the orthogonal joint. It, as we can see in the first image, it is the orthogonal joint, and if we say the output will be connected here, the output will move, input is connected perpendicular to the output. So basically the output is moving, input is fixed. There are two different kind of representation of the orthogonal joint, as we can see the below. Is there any doubts? The basic only difference is that the output and input link will be moving at the right angle to each other, that is perpendicular to each other. Is there any doubts?
So that means in second case, input is moving, output is fixed.
No ma'am, input is same, output is moving.
In both the cases, that is the first case as well as the second case?
Yes ma'am, output
so there
always.
are two diagrams given.
Okay.
Second link is the output link. Like for the chest and this joint, this is the upper arm is the second link, that is output link. So it will move only for if we compare it to the input link. Basically, input link is our reference point.
So, only output is moving in this case, or the input will be stationary?
Yes, ma'am. Input always be stationary.
Stationary. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Sir, even in linear joint also, only output link will be moving.
Yes, ma'am. Only output varies. Only output.
That's moves. What. Parallelly it moves.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Next is rotational. That comes under the revolution joint. So we are connected the rotational joint that can be represented by the R joint. So this type will allow the joint to move in rotary motion along the axis. If we talk about the image we are seeing, it is connected like this. So we talk about the output. Output moves up and down, up and down. So this is the rotational joint. That means the output is connected to an input and moves along the axis, that is up and down, up. perpendicular to the rotational joint, in which input is fixed, output is connected with the rotational joint, and output moves up and down. So it is a rotational joint in which input is fixed but output varies. Is there any doubt in rotational joints?
Sir, one question.
Yes, ma'am.
Till now, whatever joints you taught, linear, ortho, and rotational, always the output is only moving.
Only output is moving. Yes, ma'am.
Input never moves. Okay.
Input always with a reference point.
Okay, all right.
Twisting joint. Twisting joint will be referred as the T joint. This joint makes twisting motion among the output and the input link. So it is called twisting, like we have connected the input and output with a twisting joint, so they will twist. So it will twist around an axis. That means moving around an axis. Twisting. So this is output is twisting. Output is moving in a rotational movement. Output is moving. So this joint making the twisting motion among the output and input link. And during this process, the output link axis will be vertical to the rotational axis. So the output link rotates in relation to the input link. So the output is this, input is this. They are connected with a twisting joint. So the output will twist. Only output twist. As we said earlier, the input will be the reference point. So the output will twist, output will move in a rotation, revolute motion or rotation movement. That joint will called as twisting joint. Is there any doubts in twisting joint?
This twisting will be 360 degree.
And,
that can be 360 degree. Yes, ma'am.
In rotational joint, the output will be moving around 360 degrees.
Yes.
Will it move around 360 degrees in rotational joint?
Ma'am, like we have had, this is our rotational joint that rotates around the joint. So that is rotating, but that doesn't mean it can achieve the 360 degree, as it will on the back side, the output will touch the input, and the here side the output will touch on the other side of input. So by saying this, the rotational joint cannot be
360 degree.
Cover the 360
cannot
degree.
be 360 degrees. Only
Yes,
it will rotate, but we cannot assure that it rotates complete 360 degrees.
Yes, ma'am.
But whereas in twisting joint, total complete rotation.
It can be 360 degree.
Thank you, sir.
They are generally denoted by this joint also provide the rotational motion, as it is the third joint that is also give the rotational motion, and here the output link axis is perpendicular to the rotational axis and the input axis is parallel to the rotational axis in which this rotates. सॉरी वो तो ट्विस्टिंग था, सॉरी. ये रोटेशनल कुछ इस तरीके से अगर आप देखें, ये अगर हम इसको कर लेते हैं, ये इनपुट है, ये आउटपुट है हमारा. तो यस मैम.
Sir, yesterday in the practical robot we have seen a revolving joint. The swivel was attached in a perpendicular.
If it was perpendicular, then it will be the revolving joint that was denoted by the R. Basically that time we have said the rotary joint, because it is a type of rotary joint. Yes, ma'am.
Sir, whose hand, the robot in whose hand is having the first robot which you showed yesterday, whose hand arm was having a swivel.
Yes, ma'am.
That joint was a revolving joint.
That time we have said the rotary joint, and if we talk about it, it is in the rotary, means it is the upper arm, and the joint is connected to this way, and if it moves like this, then that will be the revolving movement if it is orthogonal to the output link. then it will be the revolving movement, and that joint will be the revolving joint.
So, sir, what is the difference between twisting and revolving as both are covering 360 degree?
Ma'am, in twisting, they are each other, and then 360 degree, and in orthogonal, like perpendicular to each other, then they are moving.
Okay, sir.
Is there any other doubts?
I have a doubt in orthogonal section.
Yes, ma'am.
Sir, yesterday I just want to clear that which joint the first robot was having. He was having a swirl machine or a driller, which is there on its arm. So, which type of joint that robot was having? That was the first joint.
First joint on the waist. Yes, ma'am.
That was the first robot.
Yes, ma'am. Like on our back, what type of joint is that? That's what you want to ask, ma'am?
No. I just want to ask about the practical session yesterday.
Yes,
in the practical, 3 robots were there. First of all, the first robot was the largest robot. So in that on the arm of that robot, one swirl machine was there. So that joint
was, ma'am, that joint was rotational joint.
Okay, that joint was
the revolving joint.
Okay, so what was its work? Its work was to just what was its work?
Ma'am, if we compare it with the revolving joint will always have the robotic arm in parallel with the position, while the rotational joint will be in the extension mode, so it can move. It can move according to that. So that will be means extension to the robotic arm. But if we talk about the orthogonal joint, or we can say revolving joint, so that revolving joint will be in the parallel, in the area,
moment,
in another axis.
Yes,
revolving joint covers another axis, while the rotational joints cover another axis. So they are completely different.
Yeah, instead of gripper, it was having a joint.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
I have a query in orthogonal joints.
No, ma'am. No, you are asking that the gripper, that is not the gripper. That was the tool which was grasped by the gripper, used in the robots in the practical session.
Hi, sir. I have a query in orthogonal joints.
Yes, sir.
Orthogonal joints. I have a query.
Orthogonal joint, sir, is a linear joint, which is basically the input and output.
No. Can you take that slide of that 2 pictures, orthogonal joints pictures?
Yes, sir. Orthogonal joint.
Yeah.
It moves along the axis.
Okay. Yeah. There are 2 slides. Previous 2 slides. Orthogonal joints.
Yes, sir. Orthogonal joint.
So in this first picture, how the output is moving?
Sir, this is the output. The lower one hand in which I have watch. This is the output, and upper one is input. We are moving it in a linear position.
Which one is moving?
The output will move. The
what does the arrow mark represents?
Sir, arrow mark gives that output will move in left or right direction. That means output.
In the first picture, the output will move.
Yes, sir.
How
first picture and second picture also output will move only.
Output only will move.
Yes, sir. Input link never move.
Okay. Okay then.
Is there any other doubts?
No.
In orthogonal, rotational, twisting, or revolving joint?
No, sir. Please continue.
So these are the types of robotic joints which we have classified on the basis of different movement. So in which the linear and orthogonal was the prismatic joint, while the rotary, twisting and revolving joints are the rotary joints. So these are the combined picture of the different types of robotic joints. First one was linear joint, second is orthogonal joint, and the C is rotational joint. The fourth picture is twisting joint, and the last one is revolving joint. Is there any doubt? You can ask if still there is doubt or any query regarding the joints.
So there is confusion for me. When the joint and the links are moving or the joints are moving in these pictures?
No, ma'am. Joint help the link to move.
All right.
Basically the joint.
So when you say input and output, we are talking about links, right? Links are moving.
Yes, ma'am. This is input link, this is output link, and in between there is a joint that helps the output link to move.
Okay, thank you. So links are usually moving, joints are just facilitating the movement of the links.
Yes, ma'am.
Right? Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you,
Excuse me,
Swati.
sir.
It is a good question. Even I understood. Even I had a doubt. Through your question, my doubt is clarified. Thank you.
Is there any other doubts?
Yeah, excuse me, sir. You will show these joint movements by practically, then it will be better to get good concept, the movement of the joints. You will show that?
Kindly repeat, sir.
You will show the joint movements in practical session, how that will move?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then the concept will be clear. What is the rotational, revolving and all.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
And we are classifying the joints on the basis of different degree of freedoms. And if we talk about the degree of freedom, the few kinds of joints are which provide 1 degree, few provides 2 degree of freedom, and other provides 3 degree of freedom, means 3 independent motion. So we will discuss one by one. Like we have revolute joint that provide 1 degree of freedom. That means one type of movement. For like if we talk about a revolute, that means that is fixed, that is moving around the axis of the link number 1, that is fixed. So link number 1, link number 2. So link number 2 will be surrounding the axis of link number 1. That will be the revolute joint. That means it provides the movement, one independent movement. So that will be called as joint with 1 degree of freedom, 1 DOF. Likewise, prismatic, this is fixed, this is output, and we have connected, and only one movement we are getting, that is up and down, that is independent motion. So this is independent 1 degree of freedom we are getting from this joint. Is there any doubt in degree of freedom with the joint?
No, sir.
Okay, sir. Now the joint with 2 degree of freedom, that is cylindrical, in which we have one linear, that is up and down and rotating. 2 independent movement, up and down. These are independent hook joint that gives 2 different types of movement. That hook joint is like cross, in which up and down and left and right, 2 types of independent movement we are getting. That's why we called it as universal joint or hook joint. Is there any doubt in universal or cylindrical joint?
So can you once repeat universal joint, sir? Can you repeat universal joint once again, sir?
Universal joint, yes, ma'am. It is connected in a cross connection, in which we get up, left and right, up and down, according to the that connection. I will show you a video that is on universal joint and other joints. Let me have.
Thank you, sir.
For the better clarification. So this is our prismatic joint, a non-circular part moving along the axis. That is moving along the link number 0 or input link. So this is the linear. Yes, sir.
Whether video is shared or not, because the PPT is running. I can see only your PPT, but cannot see your video.
Wait, sir.
Yeah. Be fine. Yeah. Be fine.
Now it is on the screen, sir.
Not now.
Can see.
Sir, we can see
it is
both.
clearly visible.
Yes, sir, we are able to see, sir.
Okay, I'm playing it again. So that it will show you the prismatic joint. That means it is the non-circular part that is moving in a linear axis. So that's why we call it as linear joint or prismatic joint. If it is circular part, it will be called as like have revolute joint. That is in vertical, and in movement it will be perpendicular to the input. So this is revolving joint. Likewise, we have.
Can you show me sliding joint?
Yes, ma'am. Sliding joint.
Can you? Yeah.
Let's see again. Sliding joint, linear motion and angular motion, rotary motion. They are two independent motion, so that's why 2 degrees of freedom.
The center part will be moving linear as well as rotational?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Sir, you said a joint cannot have both prismatic and revolute, no, sir. But this one has both the motion, no, sir.
Sir, if we see that joint, there is independent motion by using giving the particular structure to it, so that the same joint will provide 2 different kind of motion. But if we talk about the individual joint, that cannot provide 2 types of degree of freedom. So we have made arrangement like that so that it can make 2 different kind of motion.
Okay.
Now the universal joint, or so this is our universal joint. As we can see the cross. So they are connected with the cross joint, or we can say the universal joint.
Okay.
So we can get 2 types of movement, left and right, and up and down. So is it clear?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Very clear, sir. Thank you for sharing the videos.
Okay.
Very clear.
Now the next is a ball joint or socket joint, or we can say the spherical joint, that gives 3 independent type of joints. 3 independent type of movement, or we can say the 3 degree of freedom. Like in our wrist, we have left and right, up and down, and roll. So this gives the 3 independent type of motion. That's why we called it as the 3 degree of motion. That comes under the spherical joint. Let me show you the video for that joint also. Video is visible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Visible, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Sir, it is visible.
As we can see, it can roll up and down, left and right. So this is called spherical joint with 3 DOF.
Degree.
That is degree of freedom, means 3 independent movements. This is, we can say, ball joint, spherical joint. Ball joint is socket joint or spherical joint, which gives 3 independent motion, that is left, right, up, down and roll. So 3 independent motion, that's why 3 degree of freedom. So these are all about the classification of degree, joints with respect to their degree of freedom. Is there any doubts in the joints with respect to degree of freedom?
No, sir.
So,
Yes.
No, sir.
No, sir.
Basically, what is the motive of degree of freedom? To provide the additional flexibility in the arm or in a machine. So if we are using the 3 degree joint at the wrist, that means it can rotate, move left and right and up and down, so that its flexibility will be, if we are not using other joints, and that single joint can move and left, right, roll and up, down. So it can use the workspace more precisely and more efficiently. So the flexibility will be the more in the wrist joint. Next, now our doubts are seen that or we can say also called gantry robot, and the Pedlin robot, that is Delta robot. So we will know how to use these robots in industry or in household. So the use of these robots in modern manufacturing facility continues to grow. That means the use of these robots are continuing increasing. So their demands also increasing. But as we know, everything has its advantage and disadvantage when we are using. So it also has their advantage and disadvantage in factory settings. What are their disadvantages? We will discuss. And we know, to compete in global economy, many companies are. Hello, is there any doubts? Hello.
No, sir, please continue.
So while adjusting various joints, the center mass is auto adjustable. We have to
in the global economy, these companies are expanding the use of robotics in their modern manufacturing facilities. Let's start learning the strength and weakness of each kind by knowing the advantage and disadvantage and their common use. So there are certainly others that are less common type of industrial robots, and sometimes one or more of the main kind are combined to form a hybrid. So someone asked that can we connect to different kind of robots? We can connect, but that will make a hybrid, and that will limit the capability. Like if we connect to different kind of robots, then their capability will be the minimum in comparison to use the these robots individually. So however, these 4 different kind of different types are configurations that are most likely to find working tirelessly in modern factory. So that 4 type of robots, the configuration that are used in factory: articulate, Cartesian, Delta robots. First, the SCARA robot, that is selective compliance assembly robot arm. Basically, these robots, robot type is most often found with 4 total axes of motion, 3 rotary axis, and 1 is linear Z axis. And that Z axis gives the additional thickness or height in the work envelope. So axis 1 and 2 are the base, and elbow joints are rotary. So the work zone is circular because of the rotary joints, and 1 linear joint that adds the thickness or height. And if we want to increase the axis then it will give the additional flexibility. So these robots are generally used for high-speed assembly or material handling application. Their standard size are from very small to medium. So they are variant where axis 1 is linear rail instead of rotary joint, so that it can extend the work zone in a more rectangular shape. So this is our SCARA robot, which uses the movement in left to right only. On every joint it have movement on left to right, and on joint number 3 it has linear movement, so that it can move in a linear motion, so that it can pick easily and move according to that. Let's see a video on that SCARA. First we will see what is degree of freedom. So this is a 3 degree of freedom robot, as we have used the 3 types of joints. But if we changes the joint at the wrist, it will be the 6 degree of freedom. First on the waist it is rotating. Second on the shoulder it is moving up and down. And on third joint, that is elbow, that is up and down. And if we connect the end effector on the wrist, so we are connecting wrist like that, so that we will get the roll up, down and left, right. And we can add another axis by making the robot movable or on a rail. So there will be another axis. So its work envelope is somewhere like spherical. Now the wrist movement we can see if we compare it with the movement by the airplane, that is roll, yaw and pitch. That is left and right, roll, pitch up and down, that is 5th degree of freedom, and 6th is yaw, that is left and right of the end effector. So these are total 6 degree of freedom, which minimum are required to accomplish any task very effectively. Now the SCARA robot. In this video, the SCARA robot is used in assembly purpose, or it can be used in the packaging purpose. Now let's see the work envelope of SCARA robot. It is picking the part from one table to another table, or we can say from one conveyor belt to another conveyor belt. And this is the linear motion. This joint provides the linear motion. And this is its workspace, that is around the cylindrical in nature, or we can say spherical, but due to the limitation of its size, it is somewhat like cylindrical. It is high speed in horizontal, fast repeatability, point-to-point movement, high force within the vertical direction, and its application are pick and place from one table to another, or from one conveyor belt to another conveyor. Simple mounting, or it can be used in the packaging. Now we will see the linear robot. That is linear or Cartesian robot, or we can say the gantry. Gantry is, that is top mounted linear robot. Its work envelope is in rectangular shape, that moves in X, Y and Z direction. That means length, breadth and height. Let's see the Z axis, the X axis and Y on the left. Picking a linear robot, or we can say the Cartesian robot. They are attached with the direct measuring system, so that it can measure and will know about the how much it has to move so that it can complete the task. So we have seen the SCARA and linear robot. Now we will see the Puma robot. This is Puma robots that move up and down, but on the wrist it moves all the three movement. If we talk about the giving it to the additional degree of freedom, and on the waist it moves in rotation, but on arm it can move up and down only. So this is Puma robot. Likewise, SCARA moves left and right, Puma moves up and down. And for additional movement, we given the additional joint on the waist and wrist, so that it can have the 6 degree of freedom. So this is our Puma robot. Programmable universal machine for assembly.
For this also, it has to be rested on a conveyor belt, sir.
Ma'am, yes, ma'am. It depends on the. It can pick from the conveyor or from the place nearby you.
Okay.
We can use the conveyor for efficient purpose, so that the minimum use of human can be done nearby the machinery for the safety purpose.
Okay.
That's why we use the conveyor.
Okay.
We have seen the SCARA robot. That is micro servo robot. In this video, let me introduce first. In this video, we will know how to teach the robot. First time we will teach the robot what task it has to done, and it learns according to that. And after that learning, it do exactly what it has to do after the learning. So it is basically nothing but an articulated arm. Articulated means the Puma robot, that is up and down movement only. Now in this video, there will be programming session. Programming means teaching session for the robot, in which it learns what to do and how to do. They are using a robot architecture that helps the robot to learn the working.
Sir, what software is being installed in that, sir?
Ma'am, they can be used with different softwares and can be different kits. As there are multiple kits, multiple controllers, multiple architecture is there in the market, we can use any architecture. Like for 8051 microcontroller, we use the C programming. For Raspberry Pi, we use the different programming. And if we use the PLC, that will be the different programming. Let's see that again. It is showing the way how to pick the item. Now it is picking up, and it is making it learn. Now putting the item where it has to drop. Now making it a random position. Now let's check the learning. Now it is doing exactly what it has to do for what it makes to learn. So it is doing exactly for what we made it to learn, for what we made it to work. So this is micro servo robot. So this is our we have studied till yet SCARA robot. Next is articulated robot, that is Puma robot. These kind of industrial robots is most often found in factories as a 6 rotary joint or arm configuration. 4-axis palletizing variant means in palletizing we are using the 4 axis. Are very common in industry or in today's modern factory. Palletizing nothing but collecting the material or parts and place it on pallet. Pallet is nothing but the storing thing on which we can handle, store and can transport the material without harming from one place to another. And since all the joints are rotary, the work zone is again circular. So arguably the most versatile of robot is the articulated robot. They are often mounted on walls or on ceiling to reduce the overall footprint of the system. Size ranges from small to very large. So this is our articulated robot. Is there any doubts in video or in articulated or SCARA robot?
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Sir, there are written 4 axes. So 3 to XYZ and the last one the L joint.
Ma'am, can you repeat?
It was written in the articulated, the 4 axes was there. So the 3 is XYZ and the fourth one?
Ma'am, 3 is XYZ. That is independent. But we are giving the axis, that means 3 independent type of movement. Axis is nothing but degree of freedom.
The fourth one, sir.
Ma'am, like we are on our hand, if we forget the shoulder, elbow is our 1 degree of freedom and 3 degree of freedom in wrist. That is up, down, left, right, and roll. So these are four independent type of motion. That's why we will call the 4 axis or 4 degree of freedom.
Okay.
If we talk about the elbow and wrist only, that is 4 axis or 4 degree of freedom.
All right.
Is there any other doubts? Shall we continue?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Next is gantry or Cartesian robot. As we know, these type of robots is basically what we are seeing these robots again and again, because if we want to use any robot, their advantage, we are seeing the Cartesian robot, articulated robot again and again. So that time we are knowing the advantage and disadvantage and where to use and why to use. So this robot type is generally made up of 3 linear sliding axes, that is in X, Y and Z. And the robot's work zone area is shape of a square or it can be a rectangular. Basically the third axis, Z axis, adds height. So this kind of robot is a good choice for moving parts between tray and a machine processing nest. Means if a machine process the product, it requires the raw material, and that raw material need to be give to that machine. So on that purpose, we can use that Cartesian, as we have the store unit on from the store or from the part storing zone. We have to transfer that material. So on that case, we can use the Cartesian as its workspace is larger. But they are slow in nature than other robots. That's its biggest disadvantage. But it is also difficult to keep dirt out of sliding element. Means the part that is moving around the axis need to be keep dirt out so that it will not be stuck in the movement. So it cannot be used in the if the environment is dusty or if the or we have to, it is difficult to keep the dirt out of the sliding element. So these are its disadvantages. While the advantages are, it can move and its work area is larger than other robots. So this is type Cartesian robot, and in video we have seen the gantry robots. Is there any doubt in Cartesian robot?
So it is slow means we can improve the speed with the by changing the software, no?
Yes, we can improve the speed, but if we improving the speed, that means we have to decrease the load capacity of the robot. If we want the speed, we have to reduce the weight also. So they are interrelated. So that means gantry or Cartesian is capable of carrying the heavy load. That's why it is slow.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yes, ma'am. And if we want to improve the speed, we have to reduce the weight. Now the delta, or we can say the parallel robot. It is also called the spider robot. This type uses the 3 servo motor and joint parallelogram to position a tooling plate within a spherical zone. Like we can see in this, multiple leg connected with a at end plate. So these are different legs connected with a different single plate, so that it can work as a parallelogram, so that it can make the parallelogram to position a tooling plate within a spherical work zone. So these robots are very high speed and best suited for extremely light duty tasks. That means low weight tasks that can be done by the delta robots. That means can be for the miniature assembly, or can be other lightweight tasks with small zone area, small work zone. And because of these attributes, they are most commonly used for high speed sorting, packaging, or pharmaceutical and electrical industry. That means they are very high speed operation. That's why we are using in the packaging and sorting. So this is the delta robot, that is multi-legged robot connected with a single plate, connected with a single end effector, so that it can give the additional flexibility and can increase the speed. So this is our delta robot. Is there any doubt in delta robots? As we can
sir,
see,
what will be the approximate cost of any of these robots, just for information I'm asking?
Yes, sir.
What will be the cost of these robots?
Sir, if we talk about the robot, it depends on the size and application, and the load capacity means different specification which we have discussed earlier. On that it depends. And if we talk about the small type project type, then it can be made within the 1,000 rupee, or it can be made. This budget can be increased by employing additional features.
Okay.
That depends only on the architecture we have used, depends on the circuitry we have used.
Okay. Okay.
Next, robot safety. What are the robot safety? Basically, why we need to look on the robot safety. Basically, safety is an important component in industrial automation, because without safety, because we have employed that robot to ensure the safety of the humans, and if we do not look into that matter, then the use of robots is not worth. So we have to ensure that safety, and that safety depends on the size of robot's work envelope, its speed, and its proximity to humans. So safety sensors and monitoring provides the capability of work cell controller and its sensors to monitor the operation during the unsafe condition in the cell. As we have seen in yesterday practical session, that there is a sensor that give alarm and stops the robot operation if the gate of the robot cell is not closed, or if the anything moves inside the robot cell. So that there are the safety sensors, so that they can ensure the safety of the humans. Safeguarding is the prevention of injury or accident in the workplace. So we have to ensure the prevention. Training is the major factor in the successful implementation of any advanced technology in company. So we have to provide the training, so that if we are employing the collaborative robots that collaborates with the humans, then we have to train them, and we have to train the human also, that what we have to do if we are working with the robots, what are the safety we have to take on. So these are the things we have to give guidelines and give training session for the safety to ensure. And safety guidelines have been developed by researchers pertaining to safety issues in robots to reduce or eliminate the accident in a production environment, so that we can reduce the accident, so that we can eliminate the accident if we are using the robots in any industry or at any task. So these are the robot safety, and the theory session is here over for now. Is there any doubts?
Sir, we can make use of, in order to avoid this accidents that happens in the industries, we can take these robots to the next level along with combining thing of this artificial intelligence, something like that. So,
Yes, sir.
so that the robots can sense that someone is coming nearby, so that it stops automatically without not working.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It can sense or it can act according to that. But it depends on the artificial intelligence and the training and the learning session of the robot. Is there any other doubts?
Excuse me, sir.
Yes,
Yes, sir. Excuse me, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Sir, drone is also the example of Delta robot. Drone.
Drone for Penta robot means, ma'am?
Delta robot.
Delta
No,
robot.
ma'am. No,
ma'am.
It is not a
Yes.
Delta robot. Drone
Yes,
is
ma'am. It's
something
not a
like an
Delta robot.
aeroplane.
Okay.
Whereas
Okay.
Amazon
Okay.
is using some a type of drone to deliver its lighter products door to door in US.
Yes, sir. They are comes under the mobile robot.
Oh, okay. Yes. They don't come under Delta robot.
No, sir. They don't come under the Delta robots.
Okay. So those things are mobile.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Sir, the crane's hand is also like a robot hand. The
Yes,
crane.
ma'am. If we make it automatic, then it will be called as articulated robot.
Okay, sir.
Articulated,
sir.
or we can say the Puma robot.
Oh, yes, sir. Okay.
Is there any other doubts, ma'am?
Can you explain the drone is what type it is?
Ma'am, it is a remote control robot. If we say, as we can use and collect the data at a remote location where we can handle that robot. So it will come under the remote control robot. And if we employ other features, then it will obviously change the category of the robot, or maybe the hybrid robot.
Sir, can you tell about
sir.
Lego
Thanks.
Boost, sir?
Yes,
Lego
ma'am.
Boost? What are Lego Boost?
What are?
Lego Boost.
Ma'am, can you repeat again?
Lego.
Lagged robots.
Okay, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Lag robots are like we are human, and if we talk about the humanoid, they are they are having two legs, so that they can move according to that, to accomplish the task. So they are two-legged. We can increase the legs. So there can be number of legs we can use in robots so that it can move. So these types of robots called as legged robot, that comes under the mobile robot.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Is there any other doubts? Or any other query regarding the session, regarding anything about the FDP?
No, sir. Actually, than the yesterday's practical session where the sir was trying to connect with us, today's session was little more clear because you were explaining it with few videos and images, so that we were able to connect to that what you said, that angle of rotation or the joints with related to the joints. So when we see a real image of those things, so it will be very easy for us. So today's session was quite impressive than the yesterday's practical session. I would like to compare it to the yesterday's practical session. It was clear today. We were able to understand. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Sir,
Thank you,
excuse
sir.
me. In
Yes, ma'am.
US and all, for household course and all, they're using the robots we hear, no? Those are which type of robots, sir?
Ma'am, if we call it that, like for household work, like for cleaning, for cleaning the dish, for cleaning the surface. If it is cleaning the surface, that will be the mobile robot with additional features like we are employing some sensors so that it can analyze the dust, kind of dust, and will work according to that. If we talk about the dish cleaning robot, that will be mounted on a surface. So it will be the robot with which can be used, like we can use the Cartesian robot, or we can use the articulated robot, and can be used the SCARA robot, and it can be the hybrid robot. Is there any other doubts?
Thank you so much, sir.